and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to you. This is another episode of Encounter. In this program, we have Yogi Pradeep Ullal, who is the founder of the Kevala Foundation. He's also a brain scientist. He's also an author. Yogi Pradeep, thank you very much for being with us in the studio of the MBC.
It's lovely to be here with you, Roshan.
So from the information that I have gathered, the Kevala Foundation is found 250 kilometers from Bangalore in India.
Yes.
And it's four and a half hour drive away
Yes.
from that nearest international airport.
Yes.
Please tell us, what is the Kevala Foundation?
Kevala Foundation, the word Kevala means unique in Sanskrit. So always I had a vision that let's have a space which is far away from all the crowd and all of this, and have a space in a pure oxygen space, which is purified air, no noise, and surrounded by spectacular 360 degrees of hills, and the valleys are full of waterfalls, an amazing rainforest. It's a tiger zone. So we are in a forest, but yet having the luxury of able to be in a comfortable space which is so consecrated that you enter that space, you feel an extraordinary vibrant feeling of being alive. So Kevala Foundation is a space for celebrating, purifying, so that you can actually experience the tremendous joy of being in this instrument. So you are taken care.
The instrument of the body.
The body. We are having a phenomenal instrument and we don't know its potential. So when you come there, you will be guided how to extract the highest potential within you, so that you can truly experience the joy of the highest possible music that can pass through you and the best quality of air that can hit you. So it's basically a space where you feel you belong. It's a celebration space, and then its liberation is inevitable, because once you experience that quality of life, you always feel you truly belong to where you are guided to.
This foundation, how long has it been founded?
It's been over almost close to 4 years now. In the next March, it will be 4 years since I founded this space. It is not easy to have been there because it's a very remote destination, but I'm very happy with the progress that what Kevala has experienced today. We have a phenomenal, unique branding where people from different parts of the world, they just find us. We don't try to tell them where it is. They just find us. They make their way, and once they come in, they just don't want to go back.
So they come in for retreats?
They come in for experiencing not just a retreat. I think it's a awakening process where you know that there is something missing in you, and then you find that plug in. We don't try to profess an idea, we just allow them to be themselves, and then slowly usher them, guide them into knowing the pure possibility in them. It's opening the potential awareness, it is giving them a clear sense of direction at the point of need. So there is an instant click which happens when something magical takes shape in the form of an idea, to know themselves, to find that innermost chord, innermost calling where they click in and something happens, they feel extraordinarily blissful, they belong to that creative freedom where their intelligence is governing, and they get a sense of idea how the direction of their life should be. They give a destiny becomes very clear when you are in Kevala.
So people who come to Kevala Foundation are probably people who are seekers already. They want to know themselves better, they want to understand themselves better, and from what you have just said, hopefully unleash their fullest potential.
Yes.
But also at the same time, everyone is different. So how are you able to help people tap into their own individualities? Because it's different, everyone is different.
Yes, I agree with you. We have all kinds of people. Somebody who is just doesn't know anything, they just, it's a chance encounter for them.
Encounter.
Chance encounter. Like you just discovered, they just came down by flying, just walking past, they discovered it. Hey, we didn't know there's a place like this. We just discovered. I have known people who have come just for one day, ended up staying 1 month. So how does it happen? So there is an ushering process. There are all kinds of people in different stage. Somebody at the base camp requires just a little de-stress. they can de-stress and they can feel good. But then somebody who wants to climb the mountain has to be mountain fit. So it's
Yes.
like from base camp, it becomes a boot camp.
Excellent.
So when it's at the boot camp, then you have to allow yourself to become fit, aligned, streamlined, coherent, balanced, so that you can decalcify this instrument, which detoxify this instrument, and attain a state of calibration. So I believe that calibration leads to celebration.
So for someone to be able to calibrate their body, you
Yes.
need to be emotionally aligned, but also physically aligned.
Yes, I completely believe in that. If the body is not in agreeance, you will never be able to. It's like an instrument, a receiver. If it is fine tuned, the certain frequency shift will govern the flow. You become magnetic. The whole cosmos is passing through us. We are an ocean in a drop, but we have forgotten. So those who remember, they will click in faster. So our job is to make sure that they remember faster.
All right. Okay. So there's a whole process behind, but I'm guessing there's a lot of work that is done at the foundation back
Yes.
in India.
Yes. The first and foremost, the very concept was that here is a space which is so intense that there is no choice, no escape. Once you come into Kevala, you are like it's like an incubation. It's like a consecration. You are so intense that there is no choice of even shifting your escape routes. You
Alright.
just become you. So that means in multiple alignment, you are guided towards reaching that summit point within you. You have no choice.
But isn't that harder when the person, after staying a certain period of time at the foundation, goes back to the normal life? Isn't that much more difficult, much harder? Because then it's easier to do it there and much harder in the outside life where you have a daily routine.
Well, that's where I come in. I understand this process very deeply. I have seen people who have this, a kind of feeling of nostalgia that they have left a place and gone back. So what I do is, I leave them so intense that there is a shift in their routine. There is a shift and transformation in the routine. They are no longer the same people. They are not lethargic. They are not upset or angry with life. They have found a creative space within them for them to explore. You have given them the technique called Himalayan Kriya Yoga, which is simple and yet profound. So profound that they cannot miss working on themselves. So when there is no escape route, that you are no longer responsible, right? So you become responsible for your own journey, and we leave them with so much amazing music that they carry back some music with them. That music is a reminder of their connection with Kevala. We have some amazing musicians who come here and jam at Kevala. So it's like such a phenomenal experience that they are no longer the same people. They go back and they bring back other people, because it's like a ongoing creative journey. It is no longer that you have to go back to an old routine, because there's something, a transformation is different from just a nice little retreat.
Music seems to be at the center,
Yes.
a very important factor at the
Yes.
foundation.
Yes. To me, music is the most potent drug ever. Somebody who has understood music is closer to godliness within them. It is a divinity. It is something which you cannot disengage. For most people, music is entertainment. It's called manoranjana.
Yeah.
Entertainment, it will fade away, but something which can transform you into the reality of who you are. It's a calling from the cosmos. This whole body was designed through music. Musicians in the higher domains played music. The integration of the instrument in its holographical image, calibrated through a certain deep rooted cryptography. That means our DNA code is encrypted with music. If music plays in, the instrument enlivens itself to its original blueprint design. So what kind of
It
music?
reacts perfectly to it.
It reacts
yes.
perfectly. There is a responsiveness which takes you back to the origin from where you came. This is called Marga Sangeeta. Marga means path. It takes you back. The calling of that calibrated music is not for feeling good, but it is for frequency shift. It's for healing this instrument and bringing it back to its original glory.
I have to ask you, how do you know all this?
Well, I was born in a family of musicians. My father was running a music school. My brother is a fabulous tabla and santoor player. So I had an environment right from this. So I have been listening to music all my life.
You say your brother plays this santoor?
Yes.
It's a beautiful instrument.
It's one of the most difficult instruments to play. People often think that you just can just strike a mallet and feel good.
It's so melodious, it's beautiful.
You know, those strings are so difficult to tune in. Imagine with 4 or 5 strings in a guitar, you take little time. You have to tune in 93 strings.
All right, everyone has their own speciality.
Yeah.
People call you Yogi Pradeep.
Yes.
But you don't look like a yogi.
An urbanness is, I feel that I was in Himalayas for a very long time. I met yogis who are 250 years old, and they looked at me and said, your job is now to be with people and go and align them back again, back to their originals.
You said yogis of 250.
50 years old, 250 years old. I'm not joking, this is real. I've seen them, I've seen how they operate. And they looked at me and said, don't sit here and close your eyes, you have a mission, go and serve. Now, it's like this, I could wear a saffron and with all the beads, I would be scaring away those people who really want to be on the path, because there's enough of, if clothing can really make a difference, then all of us would be sitting and pretentiously being somebody else.
You'd probably all be enlightened.
Yes, if, you know, I always have this saying that if physicality was the question mark of the state, then all the gymnasts in Europe would have been enlightened. All the Sherpas spinning around Mount Kailash would have been enlightened. It is not what you intend to do, it's the qualitative shift in the frequency of how you operate consistently. Yes.
Please tell us, how did all this come to you? Have you been studying? You said that you come from a family of musicians.
Yes.
But I don't know if you're a musician, but you have chosen a slightly different path, right?
Yes. Actually, it's a very big journey. It's difficult to say in a small, concise format. I'll try my best. I always felt incapacitated that I could not really be a musician. But somewhere deep down, my throat started cleansing. For 6 years, I was only purging saliva continuously so that this throat got cleansed. I can use this voice for healing. I can use this voice for calibrating another instrument. Not only this instrument, an instrument around me. This voice can be recorded and sent to hospitals where people can experience a frequency shift and even tumors can be gone. So that means a calibrated voice can do magic.
You have to say more. How do you calibrate your own voice?
See, it's like a brain, it's called brain irrigation. The current of the Kundalini, it's called the Kandarpa Vayu, rises through this beautiful throat channel and it hits the brain, and from inside it will pull out the toxins, purging of toxins. So this is actually like a toxin plug here.
Yeah.
Once a toxin plug is cleansed and purified, it is our moral responsibility to sustain that. It's called Vak Shuddhi. Vak means speech. Vak Shuddhi and Vak Siddhi. So once they attain that state, even the very utterance, the chant, the frequency, this is a science. It's a science of cymatics, which is sound frequencies, and the science of how modulation of voice can make shift around in the frequency around people.
Wow. And that's something that you just happen to know?
Well, I was desperate for a teacher, and I don't have a physical teacher. I don't have it, and I was desperate, and things came into me. I saw a big golden ball of light entering this instrument. The whole brain space became blank, zero, void, and I crashed down on the floor in slow motion. That means, how is that this instrument defy the law of physics and fall in slow motion on the face? That means there is a guided entry of a cosmic ray which can shift the journey for good.
That's like the matrix.
It is a matrix. I have seen something beyond what the physics that we study in our school and colleges.
Yeah, it defies the physics that
whatever
we
we know of is actually a kid science. Okay, the real science is called the Paravidya or the Brahma Vidya, which is beyond what we have in the scope of, which is slowly growing. The scientists are beginning to understand. They're using squid magnetometers, they're studying auric field. Those who understand that, they will not see this image as just a clothing or a physical instrument. They can see this as a huge golden aura surrounding this instrument. That means they know, they can see from the inner eye, they can no longer see just another image or the eyes meet. So actually we are defied because we don't perceive enough, long enough to receive. If the receptors are alive, my journey has been impossibly defying all that I know.
All right.
So, whatever I know had to be corrected, changed, calibrated, because I was coming from a conformist angle. Nothing what I knew came alive, because whatever I knew was shattered, replaced with something higher.
All right.
So, I was born, I was an athlete, I was at 18, I was a boxer, I was a martial artist, I have done enough of exploration in the corporate domain, in the outer domain. So, how an industry works, how in these entire economics of life work, I saw through that, and then I was ushered back into the yogic dimension, which was so enriching. Now collaborate these two worlds, the inner world and outer world. The inner world is so fascinating, the whole cosmos within me is dancing. There is a huge spectacular magnetic influence that I feel that there is space, but that there is completely charged with super photonic energy. When I open my eyes, I see an outer dimension which is preciously beautiful, because from the eyes of a awakened state, everything is from the creator's angle. You can see life in its, wherever I go, I see celebration. It happens around, because I feel that a frequency shift can make huge difference to the people around you. The nature is in flow. Like if I go to a snowing area, I just look up the sun and I chant, in 5 minutes there is blue sky and bright sunshine. So, how is it possible?
How is that possible?
That is possible by frequency shift and connection to the eternal elemental force.
What is the frequency shift?
Frequency shift is, see, most people, like a newborn baby is 5,000 hertz and when it's just born.
Okay.
I have held newborn babies in my hand. I was zapped by the extent of frequency of energy passing. See, the more current, more magnetism. The entire frequency is based on electromagnetism.
All right.
So, the newborn baby is still silent and beautiful. It is magnetic. The frequency is 5,000 hertz.
So what happens as we grow?
As we grow, emotions, drama, the pressure, the stress,
These vibrations
the
go down?
failures, the average adult human is 72 hertz, which is so pathetic.
72.
And that too healthy.
So that starts from 5,000.
From 5,000, we have successfully dropped to 72 and we call ourselves great.
That's like an 87% drop.
Yes, and look at it. If your frequency drops to 48, cancer will just hit you as if it was your best friend.
Ooh, so it's because of a drop in your frequency that
Yes.
is that proven?
It's proven. It's like this, a low frequency gadget will attract viruses, bacteria. It's already there, and they come like you, charging at you. It's like a floodgate opening.
So that's why people always say you have to always increase. So that's why people always say that you have to increase your frequency.
Yes, and that happens through your breath. So people often ask me how. How is very simple. You have a prana, which is the life force passing through you from the photonic belt of the sun, which is very dormant in people, that can be enhanced by extraordinary powerful inhalation and exhalation. As it becomes fine tuned, the whole body becomes like a huge river of light. So that means if every dark spot inside you is lit, illumined by this powerful photonic energy, you are awakened, and an awakened frequency is huge auric field around us. And that is what, like I will give an example to you. There was a beautiful master called Ramana Maharishi. They studied his auric field. It was like 3.5 kilometers long.
Wow, that's very powerful.
Yes, that's very powerful.
The technique you was just mentioning, is that the Himalaya Kriya Yoga?
Yes, the Himalayan Kriya Yoga came to me. First, I had a lot of issues, my spinal issues, neck issues, you name it. I had incurable diseases called blepharitis. I had huge issues in my heart. I was premature born. There were a lot of issues which I was unresolved with. And this Kriya came to me as a download, and it had to be decoded. It did not happen overnight. I've evolved it in the last 10 years of how to fine tune this instrument. The great master called Gorakshnath Babaji, who is an eternal master, passes through as a cue. He sends a little messages to me, and it becomes unfurling as a technology of how this powerful instrument can be realigned, redefined. I constantly experiment. It's not something like you just sit there and get it. When you work on people, you get ideas, and that empowering that ideas with an easier, faster, profound way to realign.
It's updates you get, better versions. It's a breathing based technique?
Breathing is essential. It's like a fuel.
Okay.
Breathing is the fuel, but you still have to work on yourself by physically tapping the body, streamlining the flow, and then various ways of stretching. It's like a, you know how a yogic process is. The idea is to get the balance of the body, balance of the brain, balance of these nadis, so that the current inside you streamlines through the centralis canalis, which is called the Sushumna nadi, and rises through the portal here, and then you can feel yourself like a huge pillar of light. The idea is, it's called a Jyotirlinga. It is a, we are all pillars of light, we have forgotten, and Kriya Yoga makes you feel like a huge pillar of light.
Oh wow! So do you teach this technique to people?
Yes, I teach it across the world. I traveled so many places, over 55 countries I've been teaching people.
So is it why you've come to Mauritius?
Yes, that is my idea of being here.
So what is your motivation? What is your motivation? What do you see yourself doing going forward?
See, idea is we want to see a better world. I'm passionate about, if we cannot help this world get better by action, we're only living in a concept. And this concept has never helped people. All the knowledge of Vedas, Gita, Upanishads, all the bookish knowledge has never translated into actualization of how to move into a state of high frequency. How is it going to happen if all people are sedentary, depressed, upset, angry, and you're going to give this back to your next generation? So I see a degeneration of societies. I'm a sociologist. I have a PhD in sociology from Washington. So what happens is, when I study societies, I feel that there is something missing only because we didn't take action. And what action? People have been feeding on dopamine rush.
Yes.
The whole world is looking at food as the main entertainment. When there is a fed, they go back to sleep. So how is that? What have we come here for? If we cannot look after the nature, somebody we have assigned to look after our forest, which is actually being deprived. So we have not taken charge. I am here on this planet to help with growing more forests. That is my primary concern. If you don't have enough pure oxygen to breathe, how are you going to have a quality of life?
Yes, exactly.
So if there are good forests around, we are growing a cosmic forest called Nakshatra Vana. It gets the direct transmission from the stars. 27 star constellation are grasped by these beautiful trees.
Is it near the foundation?
Yeah, we have got a grid energy there, and we are growing it there. So it's important that you have a lung space which is real, and you don't have to sit in an oxygen bar to feel good. And then most importantly, what are we giving back to this planet? We have literally stripped of this planet's resources. We are too greedy. This whole life is about consumerism. It's about how much you have rather than how you feel.
Okay.
Nobody asks you how you really feel, because you are sitting in a plush environment, but if your quality of life sucks, what do you do with your life? If you cannot feel bliss, that means you are incomplete. You will come and repeat those cycles again and again, but you are not able to click back into the origin of your design. See, this design of this instrument is that the origin, the first cell born, the very first chemical release is called Anandamide. The scientists could not find an equivalent name. They had to pull it from Sanskrit. They called it Anandamide. If this body is born out of bliss, isn't it our birthright to experience bliss consistently? So what is missing? We have not taken enough measures to realign. We can all help each other. We come from the same source. We come from this same origin. We all have a superior potential which is being completely deprived by our greed for grasping. So we need to come back, and that's what it is. We have to realign, and there is no choice but to feel the true essence of being here.
Yogi Pradeep, you work a lot with people.
Yes.
Can I say hands-on with people?
Yes.
So why do you do this?
Number one, first and foremost, if there is a person who is receptive, I don't even have to come close to it. The electromagnetic field is faster than speed of light. It can reach thousands of miles faster than speed of light. You don't need to really touch anybody. The idea is, but there are people who have to be given that meridian cleansing, that there are marma points, there are pressure points in the body. When you press them, the whole body can realign. So I use a very ancient science of yogic healing, which is when you press those points, there is a huge shift in the frequency at a faster pace rather than the slow motion tactics. I believe in 10 minutes time somebody can be realigned. Why not?
All right. But to be realigned is one thing, but the person has to work on the realignment.
Absolutely.
So it's not just a button that you push.
No, no. See, it's
And
like
everything
Yes.
takes time, everything, and
Yes.
it depends how much you're receptive and how well you're
Yes.
tuned in.
Yes.
That probably makes sense. I mean, you can't go to the gym for another person, can you?
yes, no.
Yogi Pradeep, you're also an author. You're
Yes.
writing a couple of books at the moment.
I'm writing 4 books. I have finished one book called The Music, the Most Potent Drug Ever. It's about how music can shift the frequency of this instrument for good. And see, why do you need any other drug when music can realign you? That's my first the book which I've written, and it's going to be in publishing soon. And there's another book which I've written. It's close to finish. I need probably a month's time of fine tuning, which is the Himalayan Kriya Yoga, the science of celebration and liberation.
Which is the technique we
This
have.
technique we are
Alright.
dealing
So
with.
you're sharing the technique.
I'm sharing the technique. I have done already free, sharing on the YouTube about this, but the science somehow needs to be in writing because
It's easier to elaborate when you read the book
yeah,
also.
yeah, it is about. It's not a book. It's like a download. My editors who are who are complete novices about this technology, when they read, they get an experience.
Of course. It's all about experience at the end of the
Yes,
day.
yes.
Wow, that's
And then
fantastic.
there is a third book which is called Celebrating Awareness, and then the fourth book is called Encountering Shiva in Kailasa. I was in Kailas mountains range, and I've had phenomenal, unbelievable experiences I wanted to share with people. We have a group called the Wings to Freedom. Every year we go to take people to Himalayas, the remotest caves, the remotest amazing destinations where you can recalibrate with the spiritual dimension of you. Himalayas is a spiritual engine of this world, and everybody has to experience it in its origin format.
Yogi Pradeep, thank you very much for being with us for this episode of Encounter.
It's an honor.
It's a very big honor. I wish you all the best going forward.
Thank you so much. On behalf of Kevala Foundation, I thank your beautiful team for honoring us with this.
And I'll definitely keep in mind that probably I should visit the Himalayas. If people want to know more information about you, do you have a website?
Yes, it is called kevalafoundation.org.
Kevala,
Kevala foundation.org.
Yeah.
Yes, and people can just get a glimpse of what it is, but the real aspect is to be there.
Of course.
Once you be there, then it makes the whole dimensional shift.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of this episode of Encounter. Thank you very much for being with us. If you have any suggestions, inquiries, or you want to know more about the guests of today, please drop us an email. It is encounter@mbc.net.mu. Thank you very much for being with us. We'll catch you again next week, same time, on the same channel. Bye-bye.